What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, you guys. So I've seen a lot of videos out there basically saying that college isn't worth it, college is a scam, college is a waste of time, and so forth. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 biggest cons of going to college. Now, with that being said, I'd really appreciate it if you guys dropped a like, and if you guys aren't subscribed yet, please do so. It looks like around 98% of you guys who watch this video aren't subscribed, so please subscribe. We recently just hit 500 subscribers, so we're on the road to 600 subscribers. So it'd mean a lot if you guys went ahead and subscribed. Also, if this video taught you guys something new, go ahead and drop a like. In addition to that, feel free to comment. I respond to all my comments. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this video. The way I'm going to be ranking these college cons, I would say, is basically going to be from the least worst all the way to the worst. So number 5 is going to be the worst con of going to college. So make sure to stay till the end, because number 5 is going to be, like I said, the worst con. So with that being said, con number 1 is stress. So as you guys know, basically, if you want to do anything in life, it's going to cause somewhat of stress. I mean, waking up in the morning, standing on your feet, it's going to cause some stress, right? So really everything in life causes stress, but learning in school is no different. Depending on how difficult your major is though, it could either be a lot of stress from going to college or a little bit of stress going to college. Let's say you studied something, a little bit more chill. I don't know, maybe like, humanities or something like that. Even though the curriculum and the stuff that they teach might be, kind of difficult for all majors. I mean, it is a college degree. For the most part, other majors are going to be a lot more difficult. Let's say if you studied, like me, studied engineering, the classes are super difficult. I take calculus 1, 2, 3, all these types of, classes, algorithms, all these types of classes that were pretty difficult. So that caused a lot of stress. You can also think about it as, if you're stressed, you're kind of pursuing something that might be of importance, depending on how you look at things, right? All right, so for con number 2 is going to be the culture of your college. Now, this really just depends on what college you go to. Me personally, I go to Arizona State University, so we're known as like a party school, and studying engineering at a party school doesn't really go hand in hand. But it really just depends on the type of person you are, right? If you want to go for more of an entrepreneurial type of path or something like that, you can go to like Stanford. Stanford's known for entrepreneurship, stuff like, and their business school is great. There's also Wharton Business School. Those are the top university. That's the top university for business. The reason why culture might be a con is because it might be a conflict on what you want to do. For example, like I said, if you're studying engineering and if you go to a party school, then more than likely the culture of partying is going to kind of overtake the culture of engineering. So that could make your studies a little bit more difficult, but then again, it could be kind of nice too, because you can study it in the week and then go out on the weekends and have fun. So it kind of just all depends on how you look at things. But for con number 2, culture definitely is it could be a con. All right, so for con number 3 of going to college is going to be the curriculum. So now this also kind of depends on what college you go to, but most majors, they kind of teach around the same things. One thing I noticed in computer science is that a lot of the curriculum that they try teaching you doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the industry per se, right? So if you go to a job and I think the computer science curriculum does a good job of like an overview of what's going on in the industry, but it doesn't really do, my bad, I take my phone out of my pocket. I don't know, this is like, anyways, but it doesn't really do a good job of giving you specific skills at a specific job. I think a computer science degree kind of gives you the holistic view of computing and stuff like that. So it's helpful in that case. So, when you're starting a job, you kind of have that foundation, but it doesn't really help you in the sense of like ramping up for that job. You're still going to kind of have to train in-house for whatever engineering, software engineering, whatever position you're kind of going after at your actual job. So this is a con just because, like I said, it's kind of a waste of time. There's people that go to boot camps out there and are able to just ramp up on other technologies or other whatever they're using pretty fast, instead of having to wait 4 years basically to get training, which is kind of a con that we're going to get into later. We're going to go into more detail about that. Okay, so con number 4. Now, con number 4 is going to be money. So basically, like the other options on this list, depending on a few things, how much money you spend. So if you go to an in-state school, the price of tuition is about $12,000 a year, and that's about 50 grand for a 4-year degree, which is what I optioned for. But I know some people that go to out-of-state universities and they spend around $50,000 a year, which is comes out to what, $200,000 for the entire bachelor's degree. So it kind of just depends on how you want to go to college and what college you go to, on how much money you spend. Now, there's a few things you can do in order to bring down your college tuition amount, so you're not paying the $50,000 a year. For example, what I did is I went to a community college for the first 2 years, and then after that took those credits and then transferred them over to my university, and then finished out the final 2 years, so I didn't have to pay as much tuition. There's another option out there. If you do really good in high school, let's say you score really high on the SAT, and then get a scholarship, you can go to college completely for free. I know some people out there who actually have done that. So I guess money could be a con, but there's options out there in order for you to not pay as much money. So that's another thing to think about. All right, so con number 5, and con number 5 is going to be time. So the reason why this is the number one con is because you can't really escape time. You can't really go back in time. You can't really, whatever it is, right? You can't really change time. So with that being said, college takes 4 years. So a lot of people, like I said, can get certifications, could go to a boot camp, and then start their career making a decent salary. But if you go to college, you kind of have to, at the minimum, waste around 4 years. And maybe, like I said, if you did good in high school, you took like some dual enrollment or something like that, you could finish in 3 years. I know some people have done that as well, but usually college degree is going to take you 4 years to complete. So during those 4 years, you're probably going to make little to no money, while also being stressed out. And yeah, so it's pretty rough if you do go for a college degree. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap up the video for today. If this video gets, let's say, we'll say 3 likes. If this video gets 3 likes, I'll go ahead and make a video on the top 5 pros of going to college. Now, if you got this far into the video, I really appreciate it. Like I said, feel free to comment. If you learned something new, go ahead and like this video. And until next time, peace.